today, and the country found out a bit more about the helicopter pilot who died last week helping to fight those Port Hill fires. About 600 gathered to mourn the death of Steve Askin at a special service at the Wigram Air Force Museum. Our reporter Conan Young was there and he joins us now live. Hi Conan, tell us about the service and tell us a bit more about Steve Askin himself.
Yeah, look, we did find out a lot more about Steve Askin today, but I guess first of all I should really say this was a tough day, for his family. He's got 2 young children and a wife that he's leaving behind. At one stage you could hear his young son laughing, and obviously all of this is still sort of to see it sink in for those kids. So really tough for his entire family and all of their friends and everything. Yeah. But look, in terms of what we learned about Steve Askin today, what an amazing life. We heard from his father Paul, who just was so brave and spoke really well today, and stood there and told us about how he'd had a really rural upbringing, a lot of time out hunting, pig hunting. Talked about their move to Ruatoria. He's from Canterbury originally, but they moved all the way up to Ruatoria. His family wanted to give their kids a bicultural upbringing. This is in the late 80s, when I guess that thing wasn't so common, and he talked about their time there, the only white faces or Pākehā faces in a very outback sort of school. We heard as well from Pani Kawhai, who came all the way from Ruatoria today to speak at Steve's funeral. She talked about an advert actually that Steve featured way back in 1990, sort of celebrating 150 years since the treaty was signed. It was Steve and a local Ngāti Porou boy on the beach opening mussels, but she said it wasn't just for the cameras, that this was really quite an authentic representation of the sort of life that Steve lived, and she even teased Steve a little bit about his East Coast accent that he'd developed in his time living there.
Yeah, it's so brave for family members to speak at these situations, and the people we've heard from said they spoke beautifully, including his older brother Pete.
Yeah, look, Steve was really close with his older brother Pete. His mum said that he followed him like a shadow growing up. There was a really moving story that Pete told about a trip. They were always going on missions, these two, right from a young age, and quite a recent mission actually. The two of them decided they were going to walk from just north of Christchurch all the way up to Kaikoura, just following the coast. And they didn't take any food with them, so they had to forage for food along the way. And so he told a funny story about them coming across a sheep that looked like it had escaped and was wandering along the beach. He said the sheep saw them and made for the sea, because he'd obviously prefer to be eaten by a shark than by these two. But I think that sheep did end up in the pot that night. But yes. He talked about this mission, this walk along the coast, and said that the worst part about it wasn't the hardship or whatever. It was actually the fact that mission had to end, and he said that's what it was like now with his brother dying, that he wasn't going to be able to go on any more of these missions with him, and said that he was really going to miss him. He obviously said the hardest thing about all of this was that Steve wasn't going to get to watch his 2 young children growing up. One thing I have to say as well about Pete, his older brother, when he stood up in front of the crowd today, he said Steve wasn't a big one for formalities, and so in honour of that, Pete appeared in shorts and bare feet. So a fitting tribute there.
Yeah, his mum spoke, which was so brave of a mum to speak in these situations. We heard more about his time in the SAS, a big turnout from other helicopter pilots I'm seeing from your notes, Colin. And how did the service end?
Look, the service ended with a really moving haka from the 2nd 1st Battalion at Burnham, and they saw him off there. He was then taken away for a private funeral service, and everybody meeting up tonight at the Papanui RSA, where I'm sure more stories will be told about his life.
Conan, thank you so much. Conan, who was at that very moving, we understand, service today.